governor of Rivers State, Fubara, who has now defected into the All Progressives Congress, saying that his former party, the People's Democratic Party, did not grant him protection when he went through his travails. Now, there were questions as to, is he doing this of his own accord? Is this within a grand plan of what is happening with this erstwhile godfather? Is this an indication of a division? Is this an indication of a solidification? Is unclear. Delving into, and not to take too much time, we have joining us this morning all the way from Rivers State, Richard Wokocha, who is a professor of public law, and he joins us virtually. Good morning, Prof. It's good to see you. Quite a number of things for us to delve into. Is it too early to say compliments of the season to you? Because the Christmas decor is already going up everywhere. Has it gotten to Port Harcourt yet?
Yes, it has. It has. You are on time. Compliment of the season to you too, and all Nigerians.
The question now will be, what season precisely? Because the political season clearly is not abating, especially in Rivers State. So we're wondering, what is the political season feeling like right now?
Well, I think it's going to feel a lot more ceremonial because there are different kinds of celebrations going along with it from different directions, as you have seen politically. So I think it's going to be an active season for politicians.
Indeed. Well, we already saw yesterday the official declaration of the governor of Rivers State. He's been largely quiet in recent times. But yesterday, we saw him openly tell his followers, I think in Government House there, that they are now defecting to the All Progressives Congress. As a matter of fact, let me not say how he said it. Let us just hear him say it. So I think we should play this for our viewers so they can see how it transpired and how he spoke, whether even the manner in which he spoke conveyed a different message. Take a listen.
I was with Mr. President yesterday to brief him on the situation of things in our state, which I believe he has taken note and is going to act swiftly on it. But the most interesting part of the meeting is that what you all have been waiting for, what you've been asking me, the signal has finally arrived. Our only thank you to Mr. President is to support it. And we cannot support Mr. President in isolation. And we can't support Mr. President if we don't fully identify with him, not backyard support. So we have taken that decision today since we've gotten a pass. Everyone here who have followed me, who have suffered with me, our decision today, this evening, we are moving to APC.
Message was given yesterday. What I noticed in terms of all that he said was that there was not a mention of the current minister of the FCT. As a matter of fact, some people are saying, is this done outside of him? Is this done with him? Is this because he said, look, I spoke with Mr. President. He spoke to him about the condition of things in our state, what we've been waiting for. The signal has finally come. He says, this is our thank you to Mr. President. We cannot support him in isolation. It's not backyard support. And this is for those who have followed me, suffered with me. Very deep words, it will seem. What's your reading of this?
Well, I think they sound very personal. The words suggest personal decisions. And again, remember we are talking about politics, and individuals take their decisions and respect the decision of others. So I think, remember that the minister is still in the PDP, so it will be somewhat inappropriate, even if that is the arrangement, it will be somewhat inappropriate for him to drag in the minister who has not said, I have moved from PDP to APC. So I think he spoke for himself and his followers. In the same manner, the assembly members who recently redefected also spoke for themselves. So it's politics, and you have to express individual decision. My thinking is that he chose his words to indicate or signify his personal decision and for him and his followers, respecting the fact that other people whom he probably should have been expected to mention are presently in another party at the moment.
Indeed. Well, if you reflect back, one of the things that we noticed when the president declared a state of emergency, some people initially had partially blamed, or will I say wholly blamed, the minister of the FCT. Whom we later on heard from was totally unhappy about that declaration, because it would seem that he wanted an outright impeachment, and he said as much in subsequent interviews when he was asked. You know, he said that what he would have preferred, or what they were working towards, and it was seen that they already had all their ducks in a row, was an impeachment. And before the president came with this idea of a state of emergency. So when the governor speaks of a thank you to Mr. President, and you have said that this is a personal decision given the words that he has now used, does it suggest to you that perhaps we could be looking at more than unity? Is this a new division, or is this a new type of alliance, you know, between the current governor of Rivers State and the president at the federal level?
Well, I think we have witnessed a unity that has looked somewhat frosty, but not outrightly unlike unity. I will want to think that at the moment it's an alliance, yes, but we cannot rule out the presence of anybody in that alliance, including the FCT minister. But we need to walk by the words that have been used. At the moment, what it implies is that for him and for his house, they have decided to embrace the president by joining the president's party. I think probably when the FCT minister or other members of the government who have not done so, when they do so, it's very likely, it's very possible that we will see them talking in the same terms. But I want to think this should signify a new opportunity for peace and unity in Rivers State, because at the moment, it means that all the units, all the, I don't want to call factions, I don't want to say factions, all the segments of Rivers political theater where we have had all the drama are now aligned to one side and have allegiance to one leader, which is the president. So I want to think that it signifies a coming together, and that we should expect less negative drama as we have seen in the past. Now that they are all, the FCT minister, yes, may be in PDP, but he's working currently under an APC government. So if the state structure has moved into APC, it should mean that they are together now, because they are under the same leader and cannot be acting, taking different instructions from different directions. Yes, what you observed concerning the drama of the past and the position of the FCT minister, which he expressed on national television a number of times, are quite true. But I want to think that all that is in the past, because they are now under the same leadership and will have to take instruction and advice from that leadership.
All right, we'll see how that plays out in the coming days. But from your own reading, I don't know whether you've had the chance to be able to speak with some political elite in Rivers State. How are they receiving this news? Because we know that for years, even though, well, now we're beginning to see a number of states that had been traditionally PDP, they had taken pride in the fact that, you know, it did not even look like they could ever be APC. For the political elite in that state, how are they receiving this news? What has come to your ear?
You know, the state has been, I always like to distinguish between this state and the regular Western states, where the individuals are highly politically aware and active. Politics in this part of the country has been more of following the leader. And so when you have something like this, what everybody will be looking at, especially the politicians, is what's the need for us as a political unit. So I think there is rejoicing in the in those under the leadership of the governor, because at least they will have the impression, and they have the impression at the moment, that the governor has aligned properly, and he can no longer be on the receiving end of the powers that be, referring to the central powers. So they are very happy and feel protected by the movement the governor has made.
All right, let me take you to my colleague, Ayo.
Well, thank you, Mawkwe. It would seem like, needless to say, it's a known fact that one way or the other, Rivers State is it's a very, very interesting angle that everything has to come to. But another thing that is, you know, a bit bothersome is that of what happened between Nigeria and Benin Republic at the behest of the Benin government. And a lot of narratives is already going on there. While there are narratives about what is happening in Rivers State, there is a lot of narrative making the rounds about what happened between Nigeria and Benin Republic at the behest of the Benin government, as I said. And the ECOWAS have also come up with what they call a state of emergency, regional state of emergency. It's about narratives. How do we align it all? Because one of the things that we hear ECOWAS saying is, look, our regional cohesion is disintegrating with the Conference of Sahel States coming up, and a number of them, of course, naturally also wanting more and more people to join them. So how do you think the narratives of regional diplomacy can help foster the cohesion or separate us?
We are indeed in some kind of dilemma on what is going on in the region, in the West African region. Using the umbrella word democracy and the need to preserve democracy, you will be tempted to go with the ECOWAS position. But looking at the realities on ground, because the democracy should translate to democratic environment and democratic dividends reaching the people. Now, looking at that dimension, you'll find that will support, you will have to support a Pan-Africanist view. The democracy we have enjoyed in West Africa appears to be a democracy to keep West Africa in the condition in which it is. And that condition is not a condition in the interest of Africans or of West Africans. So if preserving democracy means keeping the resources in West Africa under the control of the West or of foreign interests, and leaving the development of Africa completely unaffected, the way it has been for decades now, then indeed, even Africans or West Africans will begin to question the meaning of democracy and why they should remain in democracy. So we are facing a contention of two perspectives, the global perspective, which I do not trust, because down throughout history, democracy and human rights has been used to prosecute more of foreign or Western interests. in countries of less political strength or less military strength. And so I do not trust that. On the other camp, the views of ECOWAS and the actions of ECOWAS will be viewed as anti-African and anti-democratic, because those in the other camp are of the opinion that we need to break away the way the Sahel states have done, and our resources should serve us. And our interest should be the well-being of our people and the development of our country, and not aligning with Western propaganda or Western views. So I think it's a dilemma that ECOWAS leaders need to resolve or need to begin to look at, because it will resonate with their people and will possibly affect the stability of their own states. It's not enough that you have a democratic institution. You need to have a democratic society. And that has been completely lacking in the region, in the West African sub-region. So I think ECOWAS leaders may be taking...
Yeah, my apologies. The question then is how? Because at the end of the day, if I understand correctly what you're saying, it's not just about having or knowing that we have a style of government. It's also about ensuring that whatever it is that was intended actually happens exactly as intended. So how do we achieve that? One of the accusations that came in the wake of one of the coups in these Sahel states is that the people were saying, look, we're in a democracy, the regional forces, regional governments are talking, but the dividends of democracy are not reaching the people. That is not something that the regional authorities can legislate. It behoves on the political class in each of the countries to ensure that they do the needful. And, so how do we, is there any role you think ECOWAS or even AU can play in ensuring that governments please their people, give the dividends of democracy to their people through their governance? Prof, I think you may be erroneously muted.
Okay, yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I have muted it, yes. Now, we have had both at AU and ECOWAS a number of policy declarations undertaken by them, but they have not translated to a democratic society, and we have not seen the benefits of those. I think the challenge we have is that the regional administration, the regional governments is a meeting of the governments, the privileged people in government who are running the states that constitute the units, that constitute the regional bodies, and nothing beyond that. And so it's more like an inter-house sports where all houses come up and they play their role and play their part. And that has been going on. That's what has promoted the kind of democracy we have had both in the region and the entire Africa, which is lacking in democratic definitions and benefits.
Do you see a place, Prof, for what happens in the EU? I've cited that a couple of times on this program. The European Union is an economic bloc, and it has political influence as well. Everyone in the European Union,
so
see it as one.
How are they going to do it?
Well,
I think it lies that, look, there is a need for us to act, the 18. This is going to react. It's possibly...
Can you hear me, Prof?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you.
My apologies.
Yes.
The network was a little glitched a little, so we couldn't hear you for a bit.
Okay.
But just a quick question. Is there a way that you think the African Union or even the ECOWAS can position like the EU? I make that comparison because it is clear, everyone knows, the euro has become as strong as it is now because all of the countries, practicing it, particularly in Europe, they agreed that this is the direction we're all going to go. I don't know whether they have their domestic currencies, but we all know the euro. And we know it is a currency from, that region. So I'm wondering, is there a place you think that the African Union can position like that so that the countries in Africa, more than 50 countries in Africa, can see something to look forward to, see that there is a power block that they have that they can use to the benefit of their people?
Clearly, 55 countries in Africa has meant problem for Africa because it has meant inability of Africa to work as a body. And so long as we remain with 55 currencies, 55 governments, and all of that, we will remain insignificant pieces of what would have been an economic giant. And but you have to accept the reality that those who run Africa from the external sector, the West, does not like this language, what you have just talked about. I think that was one of the major sins of Colonel Gaddafi before he was taken out. And every African leader who has preached that, from Nkrumah, Lumumba, Nkrumah, and the rest of them, every African leader who has preached African unity and Africa forming a strong, becoming a strong force by working together as one entity, utilizing their population and their size and all of that to ensure that Africa can run effective societies. All such leaders have faced backlash from the West. It is the best thing, what you have talked about is the best thing that should happen to Africa. It shouldn't be a difficult thing for us to look at other regional bodies, especially those that have been successful in what they are doing, and try to mirror them. But in doing that, we will have to realize that we are working against very strong forces that will make every attempt to overturn all the governments and maintain the system. So we did not create the 55 states in Africa. Yeah. The partitioning of Africa was done without the participation and consent of Africans. And those who did so want it to remain that way.
But we can't just leave it to them and say, okay, because you did it, then we're going to stay that way. I mean, at some point, a child grows to be an adult, gets married, and the father or mother don't have as much control as they had at some point. So with all the countries in Africa being as independent for as long as they have been, it's about time they began to do something about it. It's a conversation that I think we'll have another time, Prof. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Richard Wokocha is a professor of public law at the Rivers State University. Once again, thank you so much for your time and perspectives.